Okay. This is the second last prep before you guys write the exam. So tonight I'm gonna focus on one last exam paper tonight and tomorrow night. So that hopefully we get you well prepared for the exams on Saturday. Okay, so I'm looking through or working, we're going to work through the exam paper of 2019. And again, we'll see where there are questions that are sometimes easier, some more difficult. Also show again that as some of the previous papers, the question does not always follow onto one another. So with this paper, we started off with looking at equation, and we needed to, or they give you information, and we need to get to the equation. So normally we will write the equation as y is equal to mx plus c. So let's see what information they give us around this. So they tell us determine the equation of a line that cuts the x-axis at 3. So if it cuts the x-axis at 3, we know that c is equal to 3. Okay, so we could already then say that the possible equation will look something like this: mx not plus c, but plus 3. So then I would have already started looking at some of these options. I would have said, okay, plus 3, it's plus 4, so not that. Plus 3 might be that one. Y is equal to 3 might be that one if x is 0. Not that one, and you will not get in your exams none of the above, but let's look at what else they tell us. They tell us, and this equation that we need to get is parallel to the line of y is equal to 4x plus 1. So if that is parallel, we know that the two slopes will be the same. So our final line equation will be 4x plus 3, which is then that option 3. Okay, so they give us the c. By telling us it is parallel, they also give us the slope, because the slope will be exactly the same when we work with a parallel equation. Okay, so the first one was basically on linear equations. In that they've given us the y-axis, they tell us another line that is parallel, so we need to just remember that with parallel, the slopes are similar. So in the end, we will get the equation of y is equal to 4x plus 3. Okay, so that was question 1. Then into question 2 we go. So they want us to work out the roots of a quadratic equation. So they basically want us to work out what is in the brackets. Okay, so if I look at first all the answers, it seems like I will not be able to solve it by just factorizing. We will need to use the formula. So remember, the roots formula is minus b plus minus B square minus 4AC over, I think, 2A. Okay, so again, why I automatically go to that equation is because I see out of the answer sets that I will not get a nice rounded number, so will not just be able to factorize. So unfortunately, we will need to take the long step with this. Okay, so let's see. If I first, let's take, so it's minus 9 plus minus, so B square, so it's 9 square minus 4. A is 2, C is 5, and that I will divide by 2A, which is 2 times 2. Okay, so let's just check plus minus 81, and this is 1040, so 81 minus 40 is 41 divided by 4. Okay, so 41 square root, and let's do it first as a plus. Plus 9 negative is minus 2.5969 divided by 4. So the first one I get is negative 0.649, negative 649. Okay, so strange that they don't give us two of those. So option 2 is the right answer, but let's just work out the other one as well. So 41 square root again is 6.4031. So if we make it negative plus negative 9, we get minus 15.4031. If we divide by 4, we get the other x is equal to negative 3.851, which is then that one. Okay, so again, I didn't even bother trying to work out the roots by trying to factorize. It's different if it had rounded off numbers. So if it was a 4 or a 2 or something like that, then one can use the factorization method. But it's not. So then I go with the roots formula, and then we can, if we work it out, we get the negative 0.649 and the negative 3.851. Okay. So in question one and 2, no real shortcuts. We just needed to work out with the information that they've given us. No real shortcuts there yet to say, but we could have done it with a different method or anything like that. Okay, so let's look at what we need to do in this formula or in this question. So we looked at the software company, knows from past experience that if it charges P Rand per teddy bear, the number sold per week will be X teddy bears. Okay, and then they tell us where P is equal to that. The cost to produce X teddy bears per week is given by that. So we know that that is basically your total revenue is P times Q. Remember that formula. And let's see, the cost to produce per week. Okay, so that is already given as to check if that is already given as total cost or not. It seems like that is already total cost. So for us to work out total revenue, we need to say what is P times Q. And in this instance, remember to take the number sold per unit will be X. So it's 10 minus 0,001 X times X. So that will be your total revenue. So it is 10X minus 0,001 X to a power of 2. Okay, so let's just total revenue 10X minus 0,01 X2, 10X minus 0,001 X. Okay, I assume there wasn't one, so that is wrong. So we can take option 2 out. 10X minus 0,001. So that is right. That is right. That is not right because it must be 10X. Okay, and then they want us to work out the profit function. So total revenue minus total cost is equal to your profit. So total revenue was 10X minus 0,001 X squared. And then we need to say minus the total cost. So we will have minus 0,001 X squared. Okay, there. Remember that one we have taken out. That one we have taken out. There's nothing in here, so that's also wrong. Okay, so we basically, with just rewriting that component, we already know that 1 is the answer. But let's just look at the rest. 10X minus 2X. So it becomes 10X plus 2X. Oh, wait. Thank goodness. Okay, so there I've made a mistake. Okay, so 10X minus 2X is 8X. And then minus times a plus 5,000 is a minus 5,000. So the formula we're looking for is minus 0,001 X squared plus 8X minus 5,000, which is there. What they could have added to this is that you need to work out your marginal revenue, so that we need to maybe take the first derivative. So they could ask that. So then we would have just said marginal revenue is equal to total revenue's first derivative. And that would have then been 2 goes in front, so minus 0,002x. There's 1 that goes in front, plus 8, and then the 5,000 will have fallen away. So if I ask marginal revenue from this or added to that, that is how you will get the marginal revenue. It's basically the derivative of your total revenue. Okay, they haven't asked it, but I thought let's just include it if needed in your exam. They might do that. Okay. Yes.
Hi, sir. Sorry, you were saying it would be the derivative of the total revenue, which we said
Oh,
is
sorry. Marginal revenue. Sorry. Marginal profit. I wanted to. Sorry, that was.
okay.
Yeah, sorry. Thank you for
All right.
that.
Okay.
That was profit. So sorry, marginal profit
Okay.
from total profit. Thank you for that one. Perfect. Thank you for correcting me there. So marginal profit we get from total profit, which was that. Thank you. Cool. So just and obviously if you get total revenue, you know what to do from a total revenue. If you get, so to get there from total revenue to marginal revenue, it will be that one's derivative. If you need to get the total cost one, it will be that one's derivative. So just, it might be. Okay, so let's go into question 4. Here they ask us, a retail store sells a product at a price of R3.10 per unit. If a total cost of producing X units is given by, so that's the total cost function, approximately how many units should be sold to break even? Okay, so we've got our total cost function. Remember, for something to break even, total revenue needs to be equal to total cost. Okay, so the total revenue is R3.10 per unit, and your total cost is the 300 plus 0.92x. So we basically need to solve that equation. Okay, so 3.1x or 3.10x. I normally want to take all my x's to one side where it stays positive. Then I don't know why they need to give all the decimals, but that's fine. 2.18x is equal to 300. So x will be equal to 300 divided by 2.18. Which is 137 0.61. They ask approximately how many units should be sold to break even. So we will need to round that up. So 158. Okay, again, like in some of the previous questions of previous exams, they will not give you one option of 157 and one option of 158. So it will definitely be clear that you need to maybe round it up so that you can sell that extra unit. But again, if you would have said 157, if there was 157 and not a 158, that will also be fine. Okay, so they will not give you as options 137 and 158. Okay, so this one nearly straightforward. You just need to know what is break even. Break even is when your total revenue is equal to your total cost. They tell you how much a unit costs, so that is how you will sell it. Then the other important thing is they told us here this is the total cost function, but they can give you more information. So they could have told you that there's maybe a fixed cost of something, there's a variable cost of something, and you will maybe need to put that together to get your total cost. So they could have done that. In this instance, they haven't. So just keep that also in the back of your mind, that they might even give you something where you need to add the two together to get your total cost. Okay. Okay, cool. Next question. Okay, and I hope you guys can see this. So let me just see if I can move this a bit, that you can see what else is given. Okay, so they tell us, so question 5 and 6 will all be part of this. Consider the profit function, and the profit function is minus 2x squared plus 10x minus 8. Okay, so a few things. So what I will first look for is, so we see there's a negative. So negative means that the shape is downwards. So that's not one of our answers. That's not one of our answers. Then I would look at where my y cutoff will be, minus 8. So that is right. Minus 16, that is not right. So I will be sitting with this formula or with this diagram. What we could have done is to say, okay, but let's just see if we can factorize or make it simpler. So I would have said, okay, but let's take minus 2 out of the equation. Then I'm left with x squared. In the middle there, I'm left with minus 5x. And at the back, I'm left with positive 4. Okay, so I would have done that. And then I would have just tried to factorize that so that we can at least get your x's. So I would not have gone and go all the way, but so in the middle is a negative. In the end, it's positive, so I know that I need to multiply two negative values. So the one will be negative 4, one will be negative 1. So minus 1 times minus 4 will give me the positive 4. there will be the minus 1x, there will be the minus 4x, that will give me the minus 5x in the middle. So out of this, I can now also get the root. So the one will be x equal to 1, and the other one will be x equal to 4. So we can see there it's the 1, there it is the 4. And the last thing, if we want to work out the turning point, we can go with the turning point as minus, what is it, b over 2a, I think, if I can remember that one. So minus b, so let's see, minus b is then minus 10 over 2 times, let's just check, 2 times minus 2, yes. So we get 10 over 4, which will give us 2.5. So x is 2.5, and we can see there it's also 2.5. To get the 4.5, we can just put the 2.5 back into this equation, and we will also get the 4.5. Okay, so again, in the exam, I will probably only have done the shape and probably the y cutoff, and then I would have said, okay, but by looking at all the others, that is how I would have gotten option 2. Okay. I think already you would have seen in, and hopefully they do it again this year, that they've taken away none of the above. So I hope already in your mock exam that was already taken out, that there isn't none of the above. Okay. Okay, cool. So this was more to identify a line. We're not with linear programming yet. That will come in a slide or two. So what we've then done is to say, based on this information, so again, we look at that information, approximately how many units must be produced to maximize the profit defined by the profit function. Okay, so we know that at that point, we will maximize it. That was where x is equal to 2.5. So we will basically need to see how many units. So we need to get the 3 units because it is 2.5. You can't, again, produce half a unit. So then we round it up, and they also say approximately how many units. Also, and I know I've made that mistake previously as well, that we now say you're working with 3, and then sometimes you pick 3 instead of where they say 3 units. So just be very careful when you look at this one that you pick the 3, that is the 3 units, and that is option 2. Also important nearly that remember the x is the quantity, and p is, or that is price. So if I set approximately what price, then the price would have been around 4.5. Okay, so again, here they asked units, they could have asked price. So just make sure, because if you quickly look, you could have said 2.5, so 3 and 5, and then you might have said 5 units, but the 5 is actually going to be 5 rand. Okay, so just be, again, careful when you read the question and actually what they want from it. Okay. What they in your exam, again, I'm hoping that they don't give you questions that follow up on other questions, or that they at least give you some information. Is your questions, you can't, I assume you can't go back to the previous question. So, or are you allowed to go back to previous questions, or is it like some of the
Yeah,
you,
they said we can't go back. They said you
okay,
just have to click next the whole
okay,
time. Yeah.
so it's linear. So hopefully then Carol and the rest of the guys listening, if you have something like this and they tell you the next question is also based on this, maybe just write one or two things from that down. Unless, again, you are maybe working this out on a paper that you can work with. So it might be then that you have some of this information already, because, again, it might be that they don't give you some of the information again, and you nearly need to work it out again. So when specifically they say again, like in questions 7 and 8, that for one will follow, make sure nearly when you write it out, um, that you might have some of the information at least for the next question. I know it's difficult because one doesn't know nearly what will come in the next question, and please don't look, because again you can't go back. So that has happened a lot of times as well, when they say, okay, question 7 and 8, and somebody nearly wants to say next to see what is the next one, but then remember you can't go back. So just write some of the information at least down, that you hopefully can work with it. Okay, so let's look at this question. The demand and supply function of a certain product are given. They give us the demand, they give us the supply, where P is the price per unit and Q is the number of units produced. Determine the equilibrium price and quantity. Okay, so when it is in equilibrium, demand and supply will be equal. So when it is in equilibrium, the one side of demand must be equal to the other side, that is the supply function. Okay, so now we need to get rid of that Q plus 1. So on both sides, we will multiply with Q plus 1. So here it will fall away. On this side, we will need to say 16 to Q. We will need to multiply that by Q plus 1. Okay, so we will probably get a quadratic function, but let's quickly just check what we will get. Okay, so let's still keep the 500 on this side for now. Let's multiply, so it's 16Q plus 16, then plus 2Q to the power of 2 plus 2Q. Okay, so let's write it all as equal to 0. So 2Q2, that will be plus 18, sorry, 18Q minus 484. Okay, so now I'm looking at that and I'm like, yeah, okay, so I don't know if we will get a nice answer. So then we would have gone again with a roots function. So I will just have used this one again. I don't know if it would be easy to just factorize it, but I would have probably just gone with this one. And then when we put it in, strangely enough, we get a number that is 11.69. So that also tells me that I wouldn't have been able to get it. And we get a number of minus 20.69. Okay, so they told us to round off. So we round off the 11.69 to 12. Let's round off that one as well. But this, what we've now calculated is Q. So the number of units that one produces, you can't produce negative units. So the minus 21 will fall away. So we will only have one where it is Q is equal to 12. And then if I put that 12 back into any one of the formulas, so I would rather put it in here. 2 times 12 is 24. 24 plus 16 is 40. So my price would be 40. My quantity would be 12. Okay, so again, we can't create negative units or units. So the minus 21 or the minus 20.69 would have fallen away. Can only produce positive. You can also produce 0. So if you don't make profit or there's no equilibrium, it could have been at 0 as well. But then why would you be in business if you don't produce anything? But you can't have negative. So just remember, when you work with this, that you need to cancel or ignore the minus 21 nearly, that can't be an option. Okay. You will also see that they don't bother nearly to put in here a minus 21. So they have also already taken into account that you can't have something negative. Okay, so still based on this, they ask us then, choose the graphs that correctly represent the demand and supply function, clearly indicating the equation, the equilibrium point. Okay, so sure, so one can see this is a linear equation, this is non-linear. Okay, so if I needed to look at these two, I would have said, okay, both of these are linear. Both of these are linear, so I would have nearly excluded them already. Then I would have said, okay, non-linear, non-linear, so one of these two, then I would have looked at this equation. I would have said, okay, we've said that the equilibrium is at 12. Okay, so that might be, okay, that might be 40. Okay, so that's also in line. Okay, 40, that's also in line. So let's then look at what we still know about the two formulas. One is y cutoff is at 16. That might be, this one is going to be negative. So not that. So option 4. Okay, so purely by elimination nearly did I get to this. There's nothing in this question that you now need to work out. You've done what you needed to do in the previous question. So you've done all your working out on the previous question. You can also see nearly in this one, there would have been the 40 as well, the 12, again the 12, the 40. Here it would have gone through 10, so that again will not have been one of the options. Here it might have been going through 16, but then they've swapped these two equations around as well. So again, showing that that one is also nearly twice wrong, because yes, it's both linear, but also they're using the wrong equation for the top one and the wrong one for the bottom one. Okay, so in something like this, you won't be needed to do anything else. You already have all the information here that's needed to identify the formulas that you need to work with. Okay, let's go to the next one. So before we go to the next one, just two things. So, and that is, where was the, so when you are working with, where was the total revenue and no man. Okay, so break even, and they might ask that for definition purposes somewhere. So break even is always to do with your total cost, total revenue. So break even is when your total revenue is equal to total cost, and then your equilibrium is, and where did we do the equilibrium question? So okay, I don't know now where the equilibrium one was, but your equilibrium is when, where was the demand and, sorry, yeah, it was, sorry. Equilibrium is where demand and supply is equal. So equilibrium where demand and supply is equal. Break even is where total cost and total revenue is equal. And sometimes in a definition question, it might be that they ask it the other way around, or ask you which one is incorrect or something like that. So just remember nearly that. So if I ask it, you are prepared for it. Okay, question 9. If a demand function is given by this, demand function is given by 80 minus 0.5 Q, where P and Q are the price and quantity respectively, determine the expression for price elasticity of demand in terms of P only. Okay, so price elasticity of demand. Normally, remember this equation. Okay, so we have P over P minus 80. Okay, so that would, and remember the price elasticity of demand in terms of P. Okay, so hopefully you can still see my screen. It just disappeared, but hopefully it's back now. Okay, so that is what we will remember that you need to do for, and because they say remember in terms of P only, so we don't want to bring in a Q or anything like that in here. It needs to be for price only. Okay, so again, just be careful between the different price elasticities, so that you know which one to use when. Let's just quickly see if this was actually an option somewhere. Okay. I just want to see. Okay, so that one. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the next one that we're going to look at is they give us the demand function. Okay, we will need to work out in, or if it's elastic or not. So in elasticity or elasticity. So what, again, what I normally like is to first draw this. Now I need to remember again. I think if it's bigger than 1, it's elastic. If it's smaller than -1, it's elastic. And then between -1 and 1, it's inelastic. Okay, so I normally do that just to see answers here. So I'm like, okay, 1.3 elastic. Okay, it might be 0.73 inelastic, might be 0.73 elastic. Okay, that will not be one of your options. And then 0.071 inelastic, it might be one of your options. Okay, so then first just let's look at what the formula is. So elasticity of demand again, but now it's quadratic function, so it's non-linear. So then remember, if it's non-linear, we need to look at the elasticity of a non-linear function. And this was now nearly the first time in the paper we're actually now going into now I forgot that we really go into, oh man, what is it when we use D? I'm now a blank. The
derivative?
Thank you. Thank you. Totally blank. I'm like, what? what's that word? Yeah, first time we were nearly looking at derivatives. There was that one way up, but now when you guys did your would get into the price elasticity derivatives nearly afterwards, and now suddenly in this paper you get it very up early in the paper set. So again, nearly be prepared for some of those unfortunate, again, when it was paper based, you could have skipped some of the questions, come back to it in your exam. When you get a question like this, you need to do it. So just be prepared that there might be some of the more difficult ones up front. And just when you see something like this, breathe in, don't stress too much. There's normally only one or two of these difficult ones in a paper and not all of them. So just again, nearly when you get something like this, um, just be prepared for it. Okay, so let's look at the derivative. So derivative will be minus 2q minus 4. Okay. So that is that part, but then do they tell us? Okay, so we now first needed within the point of elasticity. So we first needed to go and put 51 into this equation. So that is P. So we first needed to say 51 is equal to minus 2q minus 4q plus 96. Then it is 96 minus 51. So let's see. Then it would have been 0 is equal to minus q2 minus 4q plus 45. And then with that one, we could have probably gone. So I would have just made it simpler for myself and multiplied by -1 so that we can say the negative disappears, that negative changes, and that becomes -45. Then it is 5 times 9 will give me 45, and then 9 minus 5 will give me the 4. So just want to check. No, the other way around. So the q's will be equal to 5 or -9. Again, we can't have -9, so the q will be 5. So in this instance, we need to then replace the q by 5. Okay, so let's just see, minus 2 times 5 is -10, minus 4 is -14. So we have, and remember now in your next formula of, it will become 1 over that. It's 1 over minus 14 times we've got the price at that point is 51. We've got the quantity at that point, it is 5. And that must give us then our answer. Sorry, I've been now working here in a few different places. But 51 divided by 60 or negative 60. Sorry, I am again multiplying wrong. So 1 minus 51 is 51. 14 times 5. Ah, negative 70. Okay, so 51 divided by 70 is equal to minus 0.73. Okay, so we have a minus 0.73, but minus 0.73 is inelastic. So don't know if that is maybe a printing error, else it's none of the above. So probably it should have been one of the other ones. And again, like I said, I think they are, there won't be none of the above anymore. So there would hopefully then be this answer. So it might also have been that one of these was actually a misprint in the exam. Okay, this is a very long question to work out. So you first actually needed to do this. I did that originally, and then I remembered, okay, I still need to get my Q. So that's why actually first need to work out your Q. Then that would be your second step, is nearly working out that component, which we've done here. Then the third step is to use the formula, and then your fourth step will be to get to the answer. But once again, if one now compares this to a question like this, where it might be that you're getting the same marks for it, or it might be 1 or 2 marks extra probably for a question like this. Have I told you guys that there's some questions that are marked more, or is it that you're getting 25 or 30 questions and their weighting is equal in the exam?
They just said we have 20 questions. I'm not sure about the weight
Okay.
of each question.
Okay, so no, then it would be probably 20 questions with the same weighting, I would assume. Otherwise, it becomes a bit difficult to moderate, or because I know also that they said they're gonna change your sequence of questions for, or have differences for different students. So probably the marking of that will just be made difficult if it is then also different marks to questions. Okay, so this is probably one of the more difficult ones that you can get in the exam. Okay, so let's now a good example of a definition question. So price elasticity of demand measures the change in the price of a good, the sensitivity of quantity demanded to a change in price, the percentage change in quantity demanded, the relationship between price and quantity demanded. Okay, so it's definitely not a relationship. it is the change in something, but it's the sensitivity in the change. So option 2 is the correct one in this instance. So again, I thought let's just throw in and keep it in as one of the questions, because it might be, even though I think you guys are allowed to use your study guides and notes and those kind of things, it does take time if they give you a question like this and you need to go and nearly look for it in the study guide or something like that. So again, if you can have some of these old exam papers with you, some of the things that I've also shared, it might just help you that you don't, with a question like this, need to now suddenly page through your study guide to get to something like this. Also, a tip, nearly, and if you can still do it, if you haven't done it, put in some of those sticky notes in your study guide. I know some of you have it online or as PDFs, but if you have it printed, put some sticky notes to some of the chapters, some of the definitions, so that if you see something like that in the exam, you can nearly just open your book at that sticky note. So do things like that if you are able to do it. Okay, now something totally different. Um, a law question. So yeah, also I think what is important is that look at log 2. So again, I think some of your calculators actually allows it, that you can put in that number into a calculator. So if you can, check if you can put it in a calculator. Otherwise, I will show you something else. So if you can, and your calculator allows it to put the 2 in as the base of a log, it's great. If it doesn't, then we also have a solution, because remember, my HB, I don't have that function to change it to 2. So all our standard log functions on a calculator is normally it will show log or it will show ln, and that is actually to a base of 10. Okay, so if you are able to change that base, great, then you can work it out on your calculator. If you can't, then we still have a solution. So then we just follow the log rules. Okay, so, and the log rules then is that we take the log of what is ever in the brackets, and we divide it by log 2. Okay, so if we do that, 2 divided by square root of 2 is, so this will be log 1.4142, which is 0.3466, and log 2, which is 0, let me just quickly check, 0.6931. And if we divide that, we get 0.5, which is option 2. Okay, so I just wanted to show you the other way, because my HP can't calculate that, but it might be that your Casio has that function built in. I know some of the newer calculators does. Then you can just work it out exactly as is, and you should also get the same answer. If you don't have that built-in function, then from log rules, and we can then just say log what's in the bracket divided by log times the base, or log base. Okay. I think there was something like this in one of the previous exam papers we've worked through as well. So I think there was another log, one of those logs. So it seems like something that they love to ask. Okay, so let's look at the next question. Okay, so now we go into, and we'll see now what we need to do. Bacteria in a specific biology experiment grow according to the following formula. BT is equal to 8,500 divided by 1 plus 15E 0,4T. Okay, so that's just a comma. Where T is time in hours and B is the amount of bacteria. How many bacteria are present after 4 hours? Okay, this is weird. I would have just said replace T by 4. Okay, so interesting. So it looked very, very suspicious, nearly in difficulty, but in actual fact, they just want you to replace T with 4. Okay, so 15, let's quickly check. 0.4 times 4, so we've got 1,6. So that's minus 1,6, so 8,500 divided by 1 plus 15E minus 1.6. Okay, so I've got that on my calculator. Times 20. Okay, so I get that it is 8,500 divided by 5.0379. Ooh, okay, which I get 16, which is not there. So let me just check if I've done this right. 0.4 times 4 is 1.6. That's negative. Okay, sorry, I've worked this out wrong. Let me just 4.02 84. So I will just show quickly again what I did. And then my answer is 2109.99. Okay, so what I got was 8,500 divided by 1 plus, so the 15e to the power of minus 1.6 was actually 1 plus 3,0284. Okay, so then that would be 1 plus that would have given us the 4, and if we divide 8500 by that, we get 2109.99. Okay, so we didn't need to do anything else. I first thought we might need it to or integrate or differentiate or anything like that. But all that they nearly wanted was to say how many bacteria are present after 4 hours. And they told us that the bacteria formula is that where T is time, so we can just actually replace T by 4. Okay, so again, nearly overthought that one, where it was just straightforward replacement. Okay, so we've got still a few 18 minutes, so let's go on to the next one. Okay, so now again, questions 14 and 15 are based on this demand and supply function. And in here, they tell us we need to work out what the producer's surplus of the product is. Okay, so just gonna check what the other one is. Okay, and then the other one is actually consumer surplus. So they're asking us to do the producer surplus and consumer surplus. I normally, it's not needed that you draw lines. It's normally just for myself. It's sometimes just visually easier for me to see what I need to do when I draw the line. But again, whatever is better for you guys, you can decide. So basically, what I would first want to work out is what is that point. So that is where your demand and supply is similar. So we need to work that out where this formula will be equal to the other one. Okay, so then again, want all the Q's to one side where all can be positive. So the free Q goes over to that side. So it will become 4.5 Q. We'll take the 14 to this side. So it will become negative 14. So we've got 36 on this side. So then 8 is equal to, Q is equal to 8. And then if I put it back into any one of these equations, I will probably put it back into this equation. So 3 times 8 is 24. 15 minus 24 is equal to 26. So we have where Q is equal to 8, the price is equal to 26. Then we have where that formula or where that line goes through is at 50, because that is your demand function. This is your supply function. That goes through 14. Okay, so then you can work out your producer surplus, you can work out your consumer surplus that we will do in the next one. But so your producer surplus is half base times height. So it's a half base, we know it's 8. And height, we know that, remember, that is producer surplus, that's consumer surplus. So 26 minus 14. So it's half times 8 is 4 times, what is that, 12? It is 48. Okay, so that's your producer surplus is 48. Let's look at the consumer surplus because that was now the next question. So again, get the same options as the previous one. Again, hopefully, if you get something like this in your exam, at least some of the information needs to be coming with, because they can't just now say, so at least when all they need to give you this, or they will tell you one of the others, so that there needs to be more information in your online exam than was in this paper exam. So they need to, with the next question, nearly give you at least all of the information or more. But for consumer surplus, and let's just use it here again, it will be the same formula, nearly half base times height. So that base will be the 8 times half, so that will stay the same. But now for consumer surplus, the height is the 50 minus 26. So that will be 4 times 24, okay, which will be 60 or 96. So for your consumer surplus, it will be 96. Okay, so probably in your exam, you will most likely only get one of the two to work out. In this one, they gave both. Um, so it might be that they give you both, so that you nearly need to remember consumer surplus is the part at the top, producer surplus is the part at the bottom, because your answer set was exactly the same. So if you swap the two around, there will be an answer for you in the exam. So just be very careful when you do the producer surplus and consumer surplus. And that's why on the WhatsApp group tonight, I will just share those, I think, 4 or 5 pages of summary that I did, because on one of them I have included that picture for you guys as well, so that if you still have time to go and print it, or just have it as a guide with you. So again, if you are not on the WhatsApp group, please join the WhatsApp group on 083 790 8387. If you're listening to this on YouTube or somewhere else, just send me a WhatsApp and I will add you to the group. And the group will be open just up until before you guys write, and then I will just close it for the period you guys are writing. But up until that time, please, the group is open to share and ask questions and all of those things. Okay, so let's go to the next question. We've got a bit of of time left. So again, question 16 and 17. So in this paper, they loved it to do 2 or 3 questions on the same information. They give you the demand for a certain product, the supply, and here you can now definitely see with the previous one, straight linear equation. So we did the consumer and producer surplus for linear equations. Now we have again that we need to work out the consumer surplus, was the next one, and even then producer surplus. So here they give that 2 equations, but we know if we just look at that, that is definitely non-linear. So this will probably something like a hyperbole or something like that. That is q to the power of 2, so that is more quadratic. So definitely 2 nonlinear equations that you're dealing with. So nearly then we need to do something more than just say, well, demand is equal to surplus. So we will need to look at this equation and change it a bit. So again, you guys did this, what was it, chapter 7, 8, I think. So we need to do integrals with this one. So let's just get a bit more of information. So determine the consumer surplus if only one product is demanded. I was looking for Q, and you're okay. Sheesh. Okay, so again, it's easy to pick up price of 10, but I would have loved it if that was also in written out as Q is equal to 1. So, and this again, you might easily read over this. So only one product, so Q is equal to 1. So when we now need to say the integral that we're going to work with, remember that it is between 0 and 1. Okay, so I'm going to work with between 0 and 1. Okay, so that will be my one formula, remember. And then also we need to subtract. So we need to subtract the Q times, or we normally would just say, let me first write it in the formula. Okay, so hopefully you guys still remember this. Did it some time ago. And then this formula, now we need to go and look at when we divide. Remember when we 40 divide by something, so if it was 1 over x, it would have been ln x. So remember, so I think we will probably stop with this one tonight so that you can also just nearly go back and try this. And then P times Q was 10. So we will just say minus 10. Okay, so nearly this was the important one for you guys that we needed to say work this out. So remember, sure, again, study units 5, 6, 7. It might even have been earlier if we had 1 over x. We could have said that was ln of x. So that is the same principle that we are using here. So now we will have the first formula will be ln of 4 because it will be 1 plus 4 and then minus 40 ln 3. So we again make that simpler. So let's take out the 40 because it's both. And then just say ln 4 minus ln 1. Sorry, ln 3. And then minus 10. Okay, and then please don't say ln 4 minus ln 1. Ln 3 is ln 1. You need to work it out. So 4 ln is ln 4 is 1,3863 minus 3 of ln, which is 1,0986. If we subtract those two and multiply by 40, 863 times 40 is weird, 11.5 minus 10, so 11.5 minus 10 is equal to 1.5. Sure. Oh, okay, see, there's the 11.5 as well. So just remember always the part that we also need to subtract, but I will again, you will see that from a page I will send you guys later tonight as well. That you just, so if you only worked out that first part, there's unfortunately an answer. If you then set plus 10, there is an answer. Minus 10 is the right answer. Okay, so again, just be very careful when you do this for the prep as well and in your exam. Just be very careful with what you are doing. Okay, so that is it for tonight. Tomorrow night, gonna continue with the next question. We'll finish up tomorrow night, and then hopefully you guys are well prepared for the exam. But I'll share the recording on our WhatsApp group. I'll share the presentation also, so if you already want to pre-look at what we're going to cover tomorrow night, I am going to share it, and then I'll just reshare the 4 or 5 pages of formulas and notes that I've put together, so that you can also use that. Okay, so that is it for tonight. Good luck with the prep still, but we will see tomorrow